So I could not ask for a more perfect backdrop to talk about what I think are the top 3 mistakes that amateur intermediate riders like me make in hard enduro situations. These are the mistakes that are making us crash. They are making us destroy our motorcycles. They're making us get stuck. They're making us get frustrated and not clear obstacles. And the cool thing about these 3 things is that they're really simple. That once you correct them, it makes technical riding so much easier. And it doesn't require some crazy amount of hours of practice to, perfect your wheelies, to do stoppies, to get super, super good at static balance or anything like that. So if you're getting frustrated, if you're crashing, I think this video might be really helpful for you. So the first mistake you might be making a lot is stalling your bike. This was pointed out to me by Nick Clare when I was doing some training with him. So credit for myself goes to him. And a lot of us riders, if we're not coming from maybe trials background, we learned to ride without keeping a constant throttle. So you're using your throttle when you want to accelerate, and then you're going back to idle. And this is going to has gotten me personally into a lot of trouble in technical situations, because when I'm at idle and if my bike is way more likely to stall, and if my bike stalls and I'm on a weird side hill, I'm on a rock, I'm into some place where I can't necessarily stop, then I'm crashing. So in my opinion, 90% or close to 90% of the crashes in hard enduro technical situations are because of a stalled motorcycle. So it is super, super important to keep your bike running at all times, to keep it above idle. So if you watch any of the pros ride, you will hear they are always giving their motorcycle a little bit of throttle. So they're keeping it above idle, they're keeping the bike running, they're keeping a little bit of throttle stored up so that they have control over that bike and so it doesn't stall on them.
Really easy exercise that you can do to learn to keep your bike above idle. Just whenever you're doing your figure eights or doing, whatever slow circles, slow technical drill, just get used to keeping your bike above idle. Whatever slow drill you're doing, just really focus on keeping that constant throttle on. And this is at least what I've been doing, and it just becomes natural to keep a little bit of throttle on at all times. Even doing the slow circles here, you can, let's say you stall your bike and now you fall down. So it's really good to practice to always keep that throttle on. And it's very easy to practice. Just do it all the time. Doesn't matter whatever you're doing. Just do it all the time. Another good drill for practicing keeping your throttle on and really using that throttle. So here's a good example, very basic, of why it's really important to not stall your bike. Is imagine this is not a small hill like it is here, but if you're stuck on a really big hill climb, and if you stall your motorcycle, I can't get to my rear brake right now. If I stall my bike, bam, I'm on my front brake and I'm just sliding down. And this is a very small hill, but if this was a really long hill, really steep, I would be sliding backwards to who knows what. And really no worse place to stall your motorcycle than on top of a bunch of rocks, because this is when it really sucks to fall. Let's say this rock was more round and I didn't have good footing, I would fall right down there if I just stalled. So don't stall your bike. If you don't stall your bike, you're not going to have these weird tip over crashes, because Your engine is a big part of how you control the motorcycle. And if it's not running, you don't have that control. This is why you keep your bike running. Otherwise, I would have just high-sided down there.
The second mistake that I think a lot of people, including myself, make in technical situations is using the wrong amount of throttle at the wrong time, which I think also comes from the way that we learn to ride motorcycles. We learn to ride, you gently release the clutch, you roll onto the throttle, and then you go. And that just does not work in technical situations when you don't have enough space to build momentum, when you need to clear some obstacle or do something like that. So you need to maximize the run up that you have to whatever obstacle, and you need to use the right amount of throttle there and the right amount of throttle on the obstacle itself. And I think a lot of riders really struggle with that and get stuck as a result of that, because they're using too little throttle in the area that has a lot of grip, and then transitioning to using a lot of throttle in the area where they don't have any grip. And you will see this at the hard enduro events. Usually the second half of the field will be doing a lot of this. People will go up to an obstacle, they will use up all of their run up, riding really gently with gentle throttle, and as soon as that back wheel hits that slippery rock, slippery root, slippery whatever, the throttle comes on full bore, and it's the opposite of what really we should be doing.
Now, I think the best way to demonstrate the wrong throttle at the wrong time is a wet log. It doesn't take much of a log, but as you will see, if you just roll right up to it and try to go over it, not maximize your run up right here, it's going to be a struggle bus. But simply giving the right amount of throttle at the right time, way easier. And if you'd install your bike as you were going over this log, you probably wouldn't have this problem to begin with. So right now, if I'm doing this as an average struggling rider, I roll up to it, oh, I'm stuck, oh, my wheel is spinning, more throttle, doesn't do anything. I might roll back a little tiny bit and be like, and try it again, oh, it still doesn't work. What's going on? I'm frustrated, I'm pushing, I'm trying to push it. I can't even push it over, it's so hard. It's a wet log, you're tired, using tons of energy, when all you got to do is, first of all, roll back a little bit and then maximize this run up. Right amount of throttle at the right time. So aggressive throttle right off the bat, and I'm sitting on the seat, not even doing anything fancy. Done. No spinning, nothing. As simple as that. The right amount of power at the right time. I honestly think double blips and log crossings are some of the best ways to practice this. So find yourself a log, doesn't have to be big, and if it's wet, it's a big bonus. And try getting over it, and you don't even have to get over it in any sort of fast way, but just focus on putting the power down before the log. And it's amazing what a quarter-second difference in power delivery, how much easier it makes everything. You don't have to do anything fancy. You don't have to do anything with your body. Sit on your ass, and it will just make your life so much easier. Just like my life would be easier if I didn't run my face into trees all the time. Honestly, the other good way to practice it is to just find a uphill with a bunch of roots and stuff and just go up it. Get stuck, and then focus on getting yourself unstuck. Focus on getting yourself, do the unstuck technique. Focus on maximizing your drive before the obstacle, and it will just make your life so much easier. because you're using the bike instead of trying to push stuff. So here's a really good example of using the right amount of power, the right time. So Jay was very careful to make sure he doesn't spin on that route. So there's a bunch of roots here that are all wet, and it's really important to pay attention where you're putting power down. Put the most amount of power down where you can, clear the root, just like I did now, and then roll back to where the root is, and then do the same thing for the second root. Clear the root, and then tractor it all the way up.
And finally, the third mistake that I think is making people struggle in hard enduro situations is not clearing obstacles and not keeping up momentum and stopping before the obstacle, stopping with the rear wheel not fully cleared the obstacle. It's kind of a combination of all of the above, but really I see this so many times with so many people. And I think it is because we're used to riding on motorcycles kind of with the front wheel. Mentally, we feel like the motorcycle in where it's oriented in space is where the front wheel is, because that's what we can see. That's kind of what we steer with. And we don't realize that our rear wheel is further back than it actually is. And that's why I see so many people, you know, they'll go up some really, really gnarly hill climb. They'll clear everything, clear all the routes, and they'll stop like 1 inch short of where they should have been. Their rear wheel will stop 1 inch short of that final little root step, and they could have just rode up it, but now they've got to push. Now they're stuck. So I think that's a very, very common mistake. Then combined with stalling the bike at the top of that hill on that route, and that's when you really have problems, because now you might not just be stuck, now you might be going backwards at a very high rate of speed. So I think that is the number 3 mistake that people are making in hard enduro situations that is causing them to have a real bad time.
So little hill here, and this hole right here is a perfect demonstration of what I'm talking about. Somebody was riding up here, and they put, you can see this is exactly the length of the motorcycle here. They put their front wheel up here, and you get, it's flat here, so there's no reason to stop over there. But as soon as their front wheel is up here, they're done, and they end up having to spin and push and dig a big trench. Really, really focus on, as Rich Larson says, going deep on hill climbs and obstacles, and just making sure that your rear wheel clears it, because that's the important part. Rear wheel is the drive wheel, so it needs to clear whatever you're trying to go up or through. So Jay did a really good job there. He got some drive going, and then he just kept the momentum going. And that's what you want to do. You don't want to stop halfway up that hill and then try to get going again. Fantastic example right here. Got to make sure you clear all 3 root steps, because if you get stuck there, you're not going up. And there's limited run up here, but you really need to focus on clearing all 3. So really paying attention where my rear wheel is and going deep, looking through the obstacle all the way up. And it's as easy as that. I just kept my momentum going. I wasn't super sending anything. I was pretty safe, but I kept the bike moving and made it up. No dramas. I'm gonna do it in a more dramatic way. So let's say, well, first off, I rolled up here. Now we're crashing, and especially if I stall the bike, now we're definitely going to be crashing. So there's no way, if you roll up to here, you're going to make it all the way up. So momentum in certain situations is key. So now we'll do it the mistake way, and you guys will see the difference. And I think I'm up, but I'm not, because my rear wheel is down here because I just didn't go far enough. And now I'm stuck, and I'm making the number one mistake, or number two mistake, which is the wrong amount of throttle at the wrong time. Which is not gonna work here. So what I gotta do is just roll back a little bit, and I'm gonna have to push the bike here because that's already been established. Our first gear, and I'm gonna give it a lot of gas right from there, maximized by run up, and sender right up there. Bam, done. No dramas. So even if you do get stuck, you can also do some kick-ass wheelies. So this is a great example. Jay's trying to get as much momentum before the obstacle and not get a bunch of throttle right on the obstacle. So he's rolling back as far as he can and then giving it some aggressive throttle from the get-go so that he doesn't have to, and letting go on the obstacle. So that was perfect. Another great example of somebody not making it. I'm telling you, it's filled. Any technical riding area is filled with this mistake. All right, folks, I hope you found this video useful. Hopefully these tips really help you out. And if you have any other tips, if you have any suggestions for exercises, things I'm missing, things I'm forgetting, for sure leave a comment. It's always super fun to discuss riding technique, and I really enjoy it. I really enjoy learning more and more about it. And I hope to see you all out on the trails.